Are we rolling? Awesome.
That's what we do.
You already started.
We are. We're a rolling start, and gentlemen, honored to be here with you as always. Cole Sager, Travis Mayer's in the house, and I really just want to debrief. The CrossFit Games are over.
Yep.
Been trying to track you guys down. Cole, I got to talk to you. I haven't heard Travis's thoughts yet, but I'm gonna start here and just
Totally.
I know that you're very focused in the way that you process information,
sure.
but and very gracious at that. So I'd love to get your take really quick on your assessment of your CrossFit Games.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I've heard a lot of negativity already. And the CrossFit Games just ended today.
Yeah.
And it's like from the time that I got cut to now, I've had people messaging me, it's not fair, like, don't worry about it, I'm so sorry for you, like all these things. And, I still, at the same time, like, I was given the same shot that every other person was given. And the 10 guys that were out on the floor, they executed at the right times in the right places. I had that opportunity to do that. I could have done that. I had the ability and the opportunity to. So, like, I still got to take ownership of that.
Sure.
So I don't want to play that like, oh, it's not a fair game and it's not a card. Like, it's not. I'm not about that.
Yeah. And the people that are reaching out to you on social media, you're like, do you follow me? Do you?
Yeah, right? It's like,
it's like, what I'm all about.
But I also get people's hearts. Like, I know where they're coming from.
Course.
It's like, and I appreciate it.
Yes.
But I told somebody yesterday, like, this next step moving forward is how I wear this, and this disappointment is just kind of like, it's my next event, right? It's my next.
This is the big challenge right now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's a disappointment. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not a disappointment.
Yes.
It's like,
If not, you're not an athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
At that point,
Totally.
You shouldn't be here if you're not disappointed.
Totally. And I was sitting, and I was watching some of the competition today, and I'm just sitting there chomping at the bit. I want to be out on the floor. I'm a competitor. Competitors want to compete.
Yes.
So absolutely.
Well, even a couple of girls, like with Emma McQuaid, Sam Briggs, and Sigmund's daughter this morning, they went to a triathlon.
They asked me
Seriously,
to do that last night, and I was like, I think I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on that.
See, I'm that kind of
I'm going to let you guys do
I got all this pent-up energy, but I'll use it later.
Yeah. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for something else.
Okay, so same question, just pose it to you, sort of retrospective. And
definitely in agreement with him on how people are kind of negative about it. But for me personally, this is what we train for all year. And it definitely is frustrating getting, I definitely understand the cut process and how starting with 150, taking it to 75 and all those other opportunities, and then it just being like that for some people. And you see these people that are traveling from Lithuania, wherever they're coming from, to possibly run a 400 meter. Like, you're like, oh my God, like, you truly love this sport if you are willing to travel the world,
Totally.
get the gear, and enjoy the experience. This isn't our first rodeo. We really want to be here. We want to be on the floor. And for me personally, it's just really, just like a tough pill to swallow. Yeah. And I think for me, it was knowing. And
I'm going to draw a line in the sand too, to say that to compare yourselves with national champions, that's a much different story. I think that was the bargain that they accepted.
For sure.
Yeah. And they told me that in advance. So sorry, continue.
No, definitely the same kind of understanding of that. I think,
and I think that
most of them know that coming in, that they're probably going to be
verbalized.
I don't want to say they're going to be eliminated, but they probably had a bright idea.
We're also coming from like being top 10 competitors.
Yeah,
like, that's where we come from, that mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me overall, it was good. It was definitely a different way to view the games as they've done in the past. The way they laid out the workouts, the way they announced things, the warm-ups relative to how they've been in the past. It was all just a completely new format of the games. So being able to take all of that and then go back to like normal training and just utilize what we've kind of done in the past and just make a little tweaks here and there. But at the end of the day, same as what Cole said, it came down to us to make those or not make those mistakes and be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like for me, whichever lane you were in, yes, there could have been with the Prowler. There could have been different lanes that went faster than not. And whether that happened, that's on me. I need to push faster and get better at sled pushing or whatever it is, and sprinting. 1/1000th of a second is what can be the separator of us being in the top 10 and us then sitting out for the remainder of the 5 events. So
I see that, but I see some distinctions as well, and this is more just kind of play the devil's advocate and for the sake of interest, is you're right, there are some things, like you said, so Prowler goes faster or slower, you're in the shade for Murph because of the way that the sun moved, some of those things that are just the way the cookie crumbles, but format-wise, it seemed as if there were. And listen, the first time that anything's put in, you're probably going to have flaws, right? So you'd have to go out.
I feel like that's the first time they go to any new venue, anytime they go to any new area. Like, the first year you're always like, oh, they need to work on this, they need to fix this isn't as good, the athlete hotel sucked, like all these little things, oh, they don't have a refrigerator, like the little details that I think next year that will change drastically. This year, do I think it was the best appropriate test and even at the beginning? No. Just me personally, I'm going to say no, because I don't think there was at least a heavy barbell besides a 185 snatch. There wasn't anything too challenging to spread the field deep enough. And I think for us, like, hey, having a clean and finishing out the day with maybe those 2 events for the top 20 would have changed drastically that top 10.
Sure.
I firmly believe that.
And again, what a challenge also of a relative scoring system where you go from 175 to 75, so whatever it was, 140 to 75 in a single event, right? Like that relativity is so mishmashed. So let's take it out of the bounds of like I'm complaining, or take it out of the bounds of I wish it was. But if we're looking at it as problem solvers, what do you think you would identify to be like, this is a glaringly obvious thing that if Travis Mayer were the owner of the CrossFit Games and he was going to make a change, is there something, and maybe you don't have an answer yet.
Yeah, no, I think, answer might not be like the perfect answer, but just like after the first few days and trying to process what happened over the last 2 days would be coming up with probably a more equal amount of test at the earlier stage to even the field out.
Yeah.
Or having multiple scored events, say for one event. So whether it's A is this workout and B is this strength, and then C, but it's all condensed into say 30 minutes. That then I think could be an easier way to get everybody kind of like, okay, these are the athletes that have strength, weaknesses, and then you'll probably have a more well-rounded finale than maybe more people with less holes and things like that. But to me, that's what I think would be kind of a easier fix just right off the bat. I mean, really diving into it, I'd have to really process that.
And I kind of like what you touched on. Like, it would be fairly easy to put a 30-minute clock on. Every 10 minutes you start a new workout. And I mean, at some level, you can very easily program a lot of different modalities in 3 workouts on the 10-minute. And you know, so yes, there's a lot of different ways you could do things.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we sprint it for 25 seconds.
Like
you could do a sprint to a lift into like CrossFit.
Exactly.
Boom. There you go.
You
have three different
modalities and tested fitness right there. Sure. You know, so there's a lot of different ways to do it. But at the same time, like, I personally don't want to lose sight of. We also don't know like the decisions that had to be made from the games staff and directors. We don't know what cards they were dealt.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like they may have just had to like handle the cards that were dealt to them and just kind of roll with the punches.
Hey, fix this.
Yeah. You know, like,
you're all fired, by the way. Sorry.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I appreciate them trying. I still thought it was really cool to walk out on the floor, pull up CrossFit.com, and do, you know, a relatively CrossFit-esque workout. Yeah, it was high.
Very CrossFit-esque. Yeah, I loved the first workout.
Oh, the first workout was phenomenal.
You know, I was talking with a buddy, Nikki Raker. I think we've heard that name before.
Yep.
And we both agreed, like, that workout though, typically we would see that on like Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You know, that's a Sunday morning event, and it was just kind of interesting to see that thrown out. As soon as it was pulled up, I was like,
yes,
it doesn't.
Usually the first workout.
Right now, but we're in a transition year. You know what I mean? So maybe it's like things need to change a little bit.
See, when I saw that, I was questionable about would we ever see. And I was like, nah, they're not going to put 50 barbells out or 75 barbells out on the floor. They won't do that. Like logistically, that's going to be a nightmare for them.
But at the same time, it looks really cool.
But then they ended up actually doing it, and I was like, man, so maybe this is going to be a change to the programming, to how they're going to do things. And then you look at the next few events, and it was like, are you going to run and do this? You're going to run and do this, and then we're going to do a sprint. Yeah. And it was like, okay, well, like you said, it should have been probably like a later in the event kind of workout versus maybe so early on. But
so 2 questions, and basically I'm going to serve you some things I've heard from other athletes that I'm interested to get your takes on.
Sure.
One is people without any detail behind it have been like, oh, it's just going to change the way we train. Does this cutting format change anything about the way you prepare?
Not a chance.
Or what would that be if you did?
No, for me it doesn't. Nothing changes. I mean,
not a chance.
Just keep filling gaps and then just.
I think this was just. I mean, you could take this year as a cutting board, for example, and you do everything to fit this tee, to everything that they just did. Everybody's going to be running 5 times a week. Everybody's going to be doing this.
Totally.
Next year you could come back and it's going to be all weightlifting for the first 5 events. And then everybody's going to complain about that, say some sort of excuse. Then they're going to go back to weightlifting 5 times a week. And then and it's just going to be this back and forth of nonstop. I think you pick what you need to work on and you focus on that. And for me, that's finding other sanctionals, finding events. Open's coming up in a few months. Like, you already start preparing for that. And I don't think that changes my end goal of being here and what I think I can do versus do I need to change everything I've done because of 1 year that they've thrown some random weird movements and training around like toes to rings. You're like, okay, well that never, but now everybody's going to be like, oh, let's program toes to rings everywhere, you know?
Yeah, I'll stick to toes bar, you know? I'm good. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm like a scale.
Yeah.
Let's do some dumbbell split clean and jerks. Like,
Yeah.
I think people then get too wrapped up in it just based off of these tests, and that has nothing to do with it because all these other sanctionals are independently owned. Well, some of them. But they'll program separately. Dubai's program separately, and then that's like a mini games relative to here. And then you're going to get there and then be disappointed if you trained all this. And so I think you just have to focus on what you need to focus on, and that's where you're going to get better.
And let's go back to like CrossFit, right? CrossFit, like we have 10 general physical skills.
Yeah.
Write those down, assess yourself in those, and improve all of it across the board. And you're going to be a very fit human being.
So same
You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, it still doesn't change. Like, you want to be better at CrossFit, do CrossFit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I get members all the time. Like, do I need to, or people that are just coming in, do I need to do CrossFit before I start? Do I need to do P90X? I was like, no. Just come try. Just start here. We'll start here, and then, but it's the same thing at the elite level. Like, we all started somewhere. We've all pretty much mastered the skills of CrossFit and what we believe are like the modalities of that and whatever it is. But now it's just fine tuning. Like sprinting, cutting, football, like all the backgrounds that teach you those things, and being athletes and athletic is what I think sometimes allows people to excel in something like this.
Yeah. The I don't know, I'm messing with analogies in my head, but you're right. The 10 general physical skills is the measurement tool by which we say you are or not the fittest. There's also a task completion element to that definition of fitness, which is the kind of Hopper analogy where I keep pulling out tests, I measure you guys up against each other, I pull out another test, I measure you up against each other. That analogy to me ceases to work if you roll it up, take one out, measure people, cut half the field. Measure up. I don't know. I'm that's just it's a statement less than a question.
No, and I mean, I think that's still true because you could have, if the first event was a 1RM back squat, for instance, like you could have had people from other countries outdo the people in the States.
No doubt.
No question. Like, I know people that probably have higher back squats than I am, and boom, if I'm cut after that, then what's the flaw? Like, you just have to make sure that you're strong enough, you're fast enough, you're good at CrossFit, pretty much good at everything. Like we always say, just be good at everything.
And so with that in mind, again, not for complaint standpoint, not I should have done better or worse.
You're complaining.
Was this? That was for you. I make you guys talk about it.
I'm just kidding.
I just get to ask the questions. Was this the ultimate test of fitness? Was this a valid CrossFit Games test of fitness?
One of the things I thought was really interesting, if you go back and look at the history of the games, that I noticed we didn't have the same amount of events that we normally do. That was a really interesting thing for me. In 2016, which was my best finish to date, I think
12.
I think we did 12 events that year, and it wasn't. I was 10th going into the last event, and got 5th.
Right.
You know, so like the spread of the amount of events, the point spreads, you know, the 50-point events, from the I think back in the day when we did the sprint obstacle, that was only a 50-point event.
Yeah.
You know, two separately scored events. You know, different things like that. There was a lot.
But that was
more.
the tide that turned Ben Smith versus Matt Fraser.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
those
right.
were important tests, right? So if you
totally.
extracted one of those, or if those didn't happen that year, it would have been a less complete test, or at least back then, that's what we would have said.
Yeah, and you see, and one of the things, the concept that I've been talking to some people about that we also are missing is moving day, which I love.
Yeah.
I kind of count on moving day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And typically that was Saturday, where a lot of moves or people start to disengage.
It's
and
the
you have that
regionals
feel.
aspect of like,
Exactly.
hey, they're making the move on Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon.
Exactly.
Like, you're making that move up, and
So
It's not to say that we need to be married to a format. And it's not to say that cuts couldn't work.
Definitely not.
But
For
in my
sure.
opinion, it's to say that to call someone the fittest on earth, it's got to be a comprehensive test.
correct. And I think there also needs to be, so for instance, the Fraser-Noah situation back and forth. So say Noah won the last 5 events, just say he won the last 5 events, and Fraser took second. There was no physical way for Fraser to catch it. or vice versa. If Matt won and Noah took second every time because he had a 50-point lead or whatever it was going in, there was no way for him to make up those points.
But the counter argument is that.
Yeah, then you add in, take that top 20 field, that whole thing just changed drastically. And I think that sometimes that Matt might not have relied on that, but the cushion of him having is based sometimes off of those 20 athletes that fill in that gap between him and Noah or him and BKG, whoever the athletes are, that extends the lead or closes the gap, and then now you sometimes have a tighter race. I mean, you look at Tia. I mean, it was astronomical about how much further ahead she was. And then you see the Matt Noah situation, like, oh, this could blah, 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 back and forth, and then he gets a little bit ahead, and then there's just no way for someone to make that up. Where when you had 40 athletes, you could have somebody in the first heat
taking points away,
take the top time, but then beat everybody else, and then you just have other people sprinkled in there, versus you could have one fast time in the final heat, and then you have a 4-minute difference to the final heat. Like, it's kind of like that
was like some
regionals. And regionals back in the day. You would have the final or the first 2 heats, people are like, it's not as exciting or not as fast, and then you look at the other 2 heats and it's drastically different.
Over the last 5 events, one of the things that I missed personally that I love watching is the sprint to the finish. And you didn't have to have a sprint to the finish because you kind of knew where you were going to finish. But like you were saying, like you had athletes who were placing higher than you in previous heats, like every second mattered.
Yes.
And there got to a point where not every second mattered anymore.
It just was like,
you knew
it's
exactly
a game.
where you were.
It was a game.
Yeah.
Like, you look at
that's
Will, I mean, pulled his hamstring. Feels super bad for the guy. I mean, I train with him all the time. And then it's just like, one event, it's done. Okay, now they're down to 9. So he automatically knows, all right, I'm in 10th. That's it.
Which comes with a prize purse.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, that's an extra $6,000 from our perspective. Like, all of, like,
11,
that matters.
11, 12 here. You know? Like,
that stuff, like, makes a significant difference. Like, yes, on here it might not seem that much. It might seem like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, but then when you're looking at it behind the scenes, I'm like, all right, $6,000. That's like 6 months of daycare. You know, like, that's a lot of diapers I got to put on that baby's bottom. You know, like, it's diaper money.
You
You
can
know,
get 6 months of daycare for $6,000.
Yeah.
I'm moving wherever.
but I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like,
but I get it. It goes on your resume. It's
everywhere.
Support your sponsors.
Yeah.
It's money in your pocket, literally.
I mean, like top 10, I have in contracts that like I get paid more, you know, and like little things like that. That then when that happens, you're just like, okay, and then this person's like, all right, well now I'm out, and then say 2 people got hurt. I'm like, then you have 8 people competing, but we have no opportunity or chance to even showcase what we do based off of just those set of tests. But I mean, that's how they program it this year, and that is what it is. And you can't complain about it because it's done.
No, you know,
I mean, it definitely gets frustrating.
I don't think it's complaining. I just think like everyone's part of this. Like, I don't think it's lost on you guys that you're people look up to you. You're celebrities in the sport for by what you've earned by being professional athletes, and so it's problem solving. It's it's a sport, and identifying that maybe this isn't a perfect system. And if it's the way forward, then absolutely, you just got to deal with it. Right. Like here it is. Like here's your new reality. This is a new era. Deal with it.
You gotta execute still. Like it goes back to what we first made. Like you still have your opportunities, and you gotta execute.
I mean, and those guys all did. I also think what they should do is communicate. They did not communicate with us at all.
This weekend or this season.
I mean, relative to the years past, like there's no communication on what time things are happening, or they're telling us 10 minutes before it's going to happen. So like fueling, you don't know any idea on workouts, you don't have any on time we're starting, are girls starting first, are guys starting first.
That was pretty cool.
Like all of that makes a difference in like, how am I fueling my body for this? How am I going to like make preparations the night before? Are the girls going to go? No, just be here at 8:30. Okay, are we swimming today?
See, that part I'll always love. So
but I mean, I love the unknown. The workouts and stuff, keep it unknown. I don't care.
I did
but
love
give
that.
us at least
like that
keeping the unknown of the workouts. Absolutely love, because I'm like, that's normal.
Yeah.
And that I'm completely cool with. But it's the communication of like, hey, you need to be here. Okay, bring all your stuff to the briefing, and then 3 hours later we're going. And it's like, well, why didn't we get to go back for 2 hours warm up? You know, just little things like that ultimately play a factor in how we perform.
Sure.
Like it might not seem like it, but there's definitely ways that interferes.
And one of the things that I don't want to lose sight of is, I think we can all agree that this is just a transitioning year. I think that there is just a big shift and a big change, and for better or for worse, like it just is what it is. And you know, it may not feel great right now, but if we have to be those athletes that have to go through the fire right now so that our sport can grow and become better, like, I'll take that on the chin, and I'll wear that proudly for this community, because I think that we still hold the potential to become a very, very powerful presence in sports in general. And I think that if, us as athletes and influencers in the space, if we hold this with pride and we say, fine, like, great, like, this is what it is, and we're going to move forward and we're going to make the best of this, people are going to look at our sport like, wow, that's a really freaking cool community.
Yeah.
And they're going to respect us a whole lot more, rather than just like, okay, like, yes, this didn't go the best that it could have, but if we point out all of its faults and we just sit and whine and complain, nobody's going to care about our sport.
Yeah.
I think yes, without providing a solution.
Sure.
I hate like, this is wrong, wah, as opposed to like, hey, could we rethink the scoring system? Hey, could we, are cuts working, are they not? If the answer is yes, great, and we all accept it.
Sure. And I think there's a lot of brilliant minds that will come together, and that will find a good solution for everything.
Yeah.
I really do. I think you're going to hear a lot of good voices from people who are highly respected in our community, who will, I think people are going to step forward.
I think people have already started
Yeah.
voicing their opinion pretty quickly about
Yeah.
what they thought of it when, even you say Brent got out and then Pat got out, like, people immediately are just like, oh, these aren't the top 10 fittest.
Totally.
There's definitely going to be flaws. Every year there's flaws to
Yeah,
some
yeah.
degree, whether that's scoring, how they did a workout, the yellow line that went out, and you touched it. Is it really a 10-second penalty? Was Matt dropping the bag really a minute? Those little details, and I think it will, over time, fix itself. But I think even next year you come back and we're going to have this conversation, and there's going to be some sort of other flaws. And did the scoring work now? Did they fix it? And I think that's just the evolution of the sport and the evolution with any sport, because there's not like a set boundaries. It's not like basketball.
No, there's not.
This is exactly what the rules are. This is what it is, and boom, that's it.
And what does every team do at the end of the season? They learn from it and they go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to do that as
Same
athletes,
thing.
and we're going to make ourselves better and be more prepared for next year. And I think that CrossFit's going to do the same thing.
I like that. I don't want to beat a dead horse. So one more question on this before I got a couple more for you guys. Maybe we've had more distance from sanctionals and the way that the Open played out this year. So I'm curious, on that note of like, I don't even want to call it problem solving. We're not putting ourselves in that position, but just identifying things. Are there conversations you guys are involved in, or are there conversations you hear that are happening that you're excited about? Like, and for example is, I think it's really cool that Loud Live in particular has a qualifying event that goes to all of them. I think it's really cool that some sanctioned events are using the Open as a method by which they're getting people in. Are there other stuff like that? I'm just curious if.
Outside of that, I'm not really sure. I know, like my coach personally, they have a lot of more like the science behind things, and they like to come up with different strategies. And they started coming up with a different scoring system and try to be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? So I know they're trying to work on different things to make it like more of a fair game and not allowing people to potentially run away with it, and different things like that. But from like the Loud and Live situation, being able to have one organization that's able to represent all these different sanctionals and make sure that they're run the right way and properly and smoothly, to me as an athlete makes it way more enjoyable to be like, if I know I'm going to go there, that's going to be run right. I know the competition's going to be good, the programming is going to be right, versus you go somewhere else and you're like, because back in the day you'd be like, I'm probably not going to go do that. This looks a little ridiculous. Having organizations that are stepping up and doing that definitely makes it way more exciting for me, because I'm like, all right, well, Madrid, why not? I would love to go there. Like going to Miami is always fun, all these other places, and now that Granite Games is now in on that, you're getting all these different organizations.
And there's some math too, where you're not like, oh crap, I'm in Shanghai this week, so I can't do the French qualifier. I can't do the French Throwdown qualifiers, and if I go to that one, then this is my girlfriend's birthday, and all that kind of stuff.
This is an anniversary for my mother's cat's birthday. Like, dang it, I missed it again.
There's always something. Okay, so I'll start with you then. Flipping the conversation completely, and still retrospective, give me your bright spots, or 1, 2, 3, however many you want. Like what stood out from the weekend?
Man, how about the CrossFit Games? Let's be real. Like how awesome is that? I think I've made it very clear in a lot of different platforms, but like I'm in this for a bigger reason than just like Fran times and podium positions, right? Like there's people out there that are struggling with, losing weight and losing jobs and all that. There's so much bigger things that fitness and our workouts are really just principles to learn from and to glean from, So yeah, like I'm here, and how I wear this and how I move forward is, I think says more than what my performance on the floor does. So, I'm at the CrossFit Games. I did think it was really cool on Tuesday getting to sit at our table at the athlete dinner. Okay. That was really cool. Having different people that I'm not sure if you know, but like we had different people from
Germany,
China, we had Germany,
Iceland,
Egypt, Iceland,
Egypt.
And so like CrossFit, like they assigned us seats with people from out of our country and with other people.
Kind of like a wedding, little mixer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the weird table in the back. Like, half of them are speaking English, the other half you're like.
I saw Jacob Hebner in the corner. I was
like, oh, that's a cool kid table up there.
Right. So I thought that was really cool. Just you have to meet some people, and then I kind of formed like a little bit of a bond with them, so it was easier to approach them in the athlete warm-up area, and you just already had that connection.
Felt like they limited our table though, so we were at the same table too.
Yeah.
They only gave us like 8, or some of the other tables had like 20 people. I was like, this isn't fair. You're limiting me from meeting other people.
No, they're giving you a higher degree of interaction.
Yeah, that was true.
That was definitely a cool
that was
experience.
Cool. That was really cool. Yeah.
Give me another one.
I mean, the main reason, being here at the Games is, this is our Olympics for us. This is what we train all year for, and for me, it's being able to show my kids that no matter what happens in life, that there's always something. If you want it, you can chase after it and get after it. And awesome. It happened, I think, back in 2017 when I think there's 3 or 4 events left, and I was like, I'm just burned out, I'm tired. And then my coach looks at me and says, what do you want to do? He's like, do you want to tell your kids that you quit and gave up, or do you want to keep going? Mm-hmm. And then like immediately lit a fire in me, and I was like, that's kind of like recently what's been the motivator for a while now. Just using that to get me through, and whether the days are tough, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, would I want them to quit and give up on their dream and whatever they're chasing, no matter how hard it gets, like find something that's going to push you. And for me, it is bigger. It's bigger than, like, in the moment, it's infuriating. Mm-hmm. Like I was fuming when I lost, and they're like, you're done. Hey, it was a pleasure having all you guys here. Really wish you the best of luck.
Deuces.
Yeah. You guys need to leave. Get your coach and go. And
please
it's like,
check out.
And it like hits you. You're like, nah, they're gonna call us back. We're good.
Right.
They're gonna. It was all a lie. And then you go back and you sit down and you're just sitting in the back and you're like, man, this is like, all right. Well, that's it. I remember like talking to my wife and I'm like, well, she's like, I don't know what to say. It's just, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when we leave here, no one else knows.
Right.
Like, in a month when the Open starts, everybody's gonna forget this.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment though, you're fuming, but it's always bigger picture, and you always you can't lose sight of that going forward. And I think everybody does get so narrow-sighted on, I just want to be here, I just want to be here, I just want to be here, and it's like, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, training, all of it. Like, that's what builds, I feel like, the momentum and the excitement is getting there, and then enjoying the process once you're there, versus 100%. Just like, oh, I just want to get there, and then it's done, and then you like never enjoyed it. You never enjoyed the journey. You never enjoyed training with people. You were traveling. I'm like, we get to travel the world. We get to travel the world to work out,
and then work out with like people that we enjoy, and to see people that we like, and have conversations like this. Like, even this conversation is really cool.
Absolutely. It's like, sucks leaving family at home, but at the end of the day, I'm like, and I get to go travel the world. I've been to Dubai. I've been to all these different places that I never thought I would go.
That's
just because I found out I was semi good at working out.
Yeah, because I exercise quickly.
Yeah, that's really all it is.
I take it out of the exercise realm, and it's been difficult now that my kids are a little bit older.
Yeah.
And so they're 8 and 9, and they comprehend it a little bit more, but also that comes with different understanding. And they're always recently have been like, why do you have to leave? Yeah. And I've had to very consciously be like, I don't have to. Like, I'm choosing to go do this, even though I missed you guys like crazy. Yeah. I just want to set the example so that you guys continue to do what you love to do as well. Totally. So let's take that and keep going forward. The Open is in October this year, so we're just a couple months away. We still have like celebrating to do, and helping, and sadness to have, and happiness to have, and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any thoughts on how you'll approach this next year?
I think a lot of it will depend on what they announce for the Open. We still got to find out what the information is.
Like if that will qualify you.
Yeah, do you qualify to the Open, or like it's like top 10, top 20? I will still do the Open regardless, just because I believe in just being part of the community. Yeah. So if it's all guns a-blazing for a qualifying spot like last year, awesome. If it's not, like, we'll do it, we'll enjoy my community. Maybe I'll do more Friday Night Lights than I did last year. You know what I mean? So and then you pick some sanctioned events, and either go do them for fun or you do them to qualify, but I'll definitely be doing some sanctioned events.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
A
same.
lot to choose from this year.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose
Yeah,
from.
I mean, I think a lot of it,
No, dude.
it varies on what they announce is the qualifying process. I
Yes.
mean, okay, is it only the top 10? Is it national champions? Or
Mhm.
however it's going to work? Or is the only way to get in now through sanctional events? I think once you find out, but I'm not going to hold my breath because you never know what they might not be until the
Yeah.
Open's over before
Yeah.
they're like, oh, well, now the extra qualifying process is this. So, I mean, I'll go into the Open and do it as I do every year and give it my best. And
Mhm.
I already have probably Dubai, Miami, I want to go to Madrid, like a few other ones already
Very
planned
cool.
out that
That's great.
I'm like, if you just pick the ones you want and then you can kind of put your training around that and then it
Mhm.
makes it a little easier going
Yeah.
forward
That's great.
than just like, well, I don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely going to take a little bit of time off after this. It's been a long year.
Yeah,
no
just
doubt.
because
It hasn't been long.
it is nonstop.
It has been
Yeah.
nonstop.
Like, there's no break. But if you do qualify in the Open, you could have like a 4-month break and
Mhm.
get fat and then do whatever you want
And then lean out
and then
again.
lean back out going
Or some
forward.
no pressure competitions. Like it was cool to see people who qualified in the Open and they were going to competitions, or even Fikowski after he did Shanghai, he said that he went to Granite Games and just being like, all right, I'm gonna try burning it hot. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
let myself fail in the competition. So that's
Is that what
always
he's saying because he lost or?
Travis won that, by the way.
Yeah, I see what he did there. Trying to make his own little jab. I see what he did there.
I don't think that was the intention.
I know him. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Dang it,
it's
I'm
all
out.
good.
Ruined the whole
No,
thing.
it's all
Yeah.
good fun. All good fun. I think between everybody, we all have a good time back there.
Yeah,
So,
I
I mean,
agree.
if you can't trash talk and banter, then
You can't.
I mean, you probably just never played team sports or anything.
Yeah,
Just
right.
deal with that. I mean, all we do back home is just trash talk and
Yeah.
kind of go with that. So, I mean, I'm just used to it. So when people say it here, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't care. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. I was like, say it. I mean, tell me what you really
Yeah,
feel.
yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that is exactly what he meant.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
all
was
right.
just trying to. I was trying to. No, I'm kidding. I know you guys.
Bigger paycheck.
I know.
It's all fine. I'm just kidding.
Phones are blowing up. You guys got places to be, loved ones to be with. I really appreciate you taking the time on Sunday night. And man, who knows where I'll see you guys next? Maybe in a foreign land, or maybe
Yeah.
in the Open, an announcement. Who knows what's gonna happen? So
Maybe back here in this room.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe back in this.
Yeah.
But you probably know this. I know you know this, and if you don't know this, I'll tell you. You guys are inspirational, and not just to me, but to
Thank
tons
you.
of people. So
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
Yeah. Oh, put it here, pal.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cut. That's a wrap.